Introduction. We all have the desire to win. We might experience it in our own personal way, but it's always there, lurking in the background, waiting for the right inconspicuous moment to rear its head. Or maybe for you, it's less about wanting to win and more about trying to avoid losing. Losing hurts. I know it does. Emotional losses hurt even more than any sort of physical pain we might endure. It hurts so much sometimes that some of us choose to avoid living altogether. Some of us choose to walk around removing ourselves from ever being at risk of either winning or losing. But is that how we want to live our lives? I believe this to be one of the oldest tricks that nature plays on us as human beings. We worship winning and make it something so extraordinarily important in our lives, when in truth it's nothing of the sort, far from it. Winning can bring us immense pleasure, but our incessant desire to win prevents us from living life to the fullest. It invites fear into our world because we don't want to lose. Our vulnerable human ego is at risk, and when we fail, we feel the corrosive effects of guilt and shame. We feel like we've let down ourselves, or even worse, someone else. But here's a little perspective for you. There will always be more people who are unsuccessful and successful. There will always be more losers than winners, and there will always be more followers than leaders. It's simple math. I say this with all confidence, even though I don't know who you are, your capacities, or your aspirations, because I'm just like you. I'm writing this book to remind you, and also myself, that we have so much life still to live. Please don't live in a world that is kept small by fear. Know that you're the hero of your own epic tale, a tale filled with fights against faceless underground trolls and terrible forest goblins. Some battles you'll win, but there'll also be a countless number of battles that you will run away from. I guarantee it. But that's okay. There's no shame in running. Like any good epic, your story won't be based on the outcomes of one or two battles. Rather, it'll be based on how far you've traveled since leaving the safe green pastures of home. You'll be judged by how much you've grown, which you'll only be able to see when you inevitably return home, a changed person years later. In Sun Tzu's eyes, a leader wasn't someone who was able to fight and win all the time. A leader was someone who truly understood that winning and losing was neither special nor extraordinary. Losing was an ordinary event that served a single purpose, to teach us how to become better people. The pain of losing exists to teach us how to inspire others and how to be able to deal with the challenges we'll face again and again during our short time here on this planet. Learning to embrace failing is not easy. It requires courage, encouragement, and some faith that things will work out in the end. But hey, that is leadership, moving forward in the face of uncertainty. If we fall enough times, we just might find ourselves less fearful of falling. If we fall enough times, we might find that it doesn't hurt quite as much as what our mind keeps wanting us to believe. And best of all, if we stick with it, we'll experience that elusive joy that comes from the growing confidence in our own mind and judgment. The joy that comes from watching our little pilot flame grow into a raging bonfire. Of course, we can get there on our own through a lot of trial and error and plain old vulnerability, but understanding Sun Tzu's work can give us a tiny shortcut. Many people criticize The Art of War for being a book about military tactics, killing, and combat. Yes, it can be read that way, but that wouldn't explain why, 2,000 years after it was written, it continues to be one of the most widely read books of the modern era. I see The Art of War as a book for helping us to make sense of why things are the way they are. It won't be able to tell us exactly how to deal with our dramas or be able to lessen the pain that we'll feel, but it will be able to help us make sense of what things mean. My goal is to showcase The Art of War as a book on developing our decision-making muscle. The Art of War as a book on decision-making. Think about it for a moment. Why exactly do we fear losing? My hunch is that we want the outcome that gets us what we desire. But the truth is, we never have full control over outcomes. There's always an element of luck, elements that we can't control, or information that's hidden from us. Sun Tzu's secret was his discovery that the only path we can take in a world like ours is to continually learn how to get better at playing the cards we're dealt. To put it another way, Sun Tzu discovered that the secret to life was learning to live like a poker player. You see, a poker player thinks only in terms of probabilities. They judge their success based on how well they used the information they had available at the time to make their bets. They don't fault themselves for losing a hand because they know there was always some risk of the opponent having a better hand. They judge their success not in terms of single hands, but by the quality of their decisions over multiple rounds throughout the game. The art of war doesn't give us a menu of strategies or a prescription for the tactics we need to apply. Rather, it primes us with the elements we might want to think about when choosing our next move. We won't always be right, but the book will give us a better handle on how to make the most out of what we've got in front of us. Over time, this will make us less vulnerable to emotions, knee-jerk reactions, and our own destructive habits. We'll be more calm, confident, and ultimately compassionate and successful in the long run, because our success will be attributable to our decision-making muscle rather than dumb luck. It's my sincere hope that once you see and believe that both success and failure are norms that you should expect in your life, you'll find a new willingness to experiment and to reach for new experiences. When you view losing as something that's as simple as the movement of clouds, you'll learn to wholeheartedly embrace the world as it is. A note about how this book is written. Many English authors focus on the literal translation of the art of war, leaving it up to the reader to understand the lessons and stories behind the text. This is difficult because the work was not intended for modern audiences, and ancient Chinese is a rich and complex language that frequently contains historical references, hidden meanings, and words that are no longer used in modern speech. Add to that the difficulties in finding the exact words to accurately translate context from one language to another, and English readers can only hope to gain a limited and narrow understanding of the meaning and intent behind Sun Tzu's words. This book is different. Rather than worry about the accuracy of the Chinese translation, I've generalized the principles and lessons behind the text to help you understand how it applies to living richer lives today. Your understanding of Sun Tzu's lessons is my priority above all else. This means that I've taken some discretion in the phrasing, explanations, and examples I've used. However, I've tried to keep the historical accuracy of the people and events described as much as possible, because I think it's important for you to appreciate the interesting and rich history that China has had over the past 3,000 years. As you later see, some of the stories you simply can't make up.